everybody. Y'all doing all right? So I thought I'd get up today. I started doing like that. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk, right? You know, because I know that's why you're here. You're all fired up and pumped, and you can't wait. Because we're here in church, gathered together as a church, and we're talking about sex together. Man, it's going to be a good time this morning. We're having a great time. And then you're about to have a really good 6 weeks, all you married people. It's going to be great. So, man, it's good to be together. Aren't you grateful to be here? Yeah. Man, I am too. I'm so glad to be together today. And I'm also grateful to be reminded today, as we are here together, I'm grateful to be reminded that God is love. You know? That in the midst of all that's going on in our world, all that's going on in our state, where people are asking questions like, where is God right now? Aren't you glad that God is with us? Aren't you so grateful to know that He is the one that sees us through to the other side? And we get to be the ones that get to encourage those that we love deeply that are experiencing deep pain right now. They're experiencing deep loss, and we're so grateful to be reminded of the fact that He's with us. He will not forsake us. He will not leave us. And He'll see us through to the other side. Guys, that's good news. It's very good news. And I am so thankful to have hope. To have hope that when all seems lost and when all seems gone, it's not. And that there's a future and there is a hope that's ahead of us. He's going to see us through. So everybody, I'm glad to be together. I'm glad to get to enjoy time together here. I'm glad to get to ride the waves of emotion that come as a result of the heaviness. And then we get to talk about some lighthearted stuff today. But in the same moment, it's all laced in very serious relationship. I'm glad. I even dressed up for you today. You see that? We're talking about relationships. I thought I probably ought to look my best. So anyway, I'm glad we get to be together. You know, these last couple of weeks has been preparing for this series and getting ready for it. It's been so fun to go down memory lane with my bride. To talk about whenever we first got to meet each other, we got to enjoy getting to know one another. And you know, one of the funnest times for us, whenever we were first getting to know one another, it was super fun because we got into this big prank war together. And it was really, really cool. I don't recommend you ever do this with anybody that you really want to stand a chance with in the future, but it was fun for us. And we had a great time. I mean, we got to like, you know, she like shrink wrapped my truck, you know, and she put a skunk in the bed of my truck. Yeah, I got a country girl, man. She doesn't mess around. She gets T-post and stabs a skunk and throws it in my truck, and it's good times, you know. Well, one day I was out, and I was fishing with some guys from the church that I was the student pastor at the time, and I got invited to go on this fishing trip. And on the Brazos River, there's this particular spot, and I'm sure there's several people who claim that there are other spots that are better, but this one is claimed as the best spot on the Brazos River for yellow cats, which is yellow catfish, those of you who are wondering what a yellow cat is, not meow. And so whenever we went, and one night we went all night long, and as we were running these trot lines, we caught 17 fish, and every single one of them were over 20 pounds. Isn't that awesome? They were ugly. Good grief, you've never seen anything more ugly. But there were several of them that were like 40 pounds. And then we fed the whole church big fish fry. It was awesome. We had so much fun. But, see, I was a Baylor boy. I'm a city boy. And but my country friends in China Spring, they were like, as I'm driving down the road, I noticed all these fish heads hanging in the trees as like trophies from their night they went fishing the night before. And I was like, you know what? There's a tree next to my house. And so I decided I was going to hang these fish heads in the tree next to my house at Palm Baylor campus. And they stayed there for about a week. And then you got to remember, I'm in the midst of this prank war with Rachel at the time. So I get this genius idea. I already had planned on taking the tires from her Jeep. I already had planned on putting it on block so that she'd wake up in the morning and they're all gone. And so I already planned that one, but I thought, I'll just one-up this sucker. I'm taking the tires off her Jeep, and I'm hanging these fish heads all the way around the roll bars of her Jeep. Oh, it was genius. Because guess what happened the next morning? The next morning, my phone rings. Her name's on my phone. She says, guess who's taking me to class today? Yes. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that would be this guy. You know, I'm going to be taking you to class today. And man, it worked out great. It's just some fun times, you know, whenever you see one another for the first time and you go, wow. And it's like a tractor beam, you can't take your eyes off. And he says the right thing that one time and it just melts your heart. You know, and there's just this dating relationship. It's exciting, it's unknown, it's nerve-wracking, it's scary, it's all of this stuff wrapped into one. Man, here we are today, starting this series called Relationship Goals, where we're going to be going through this book in the Bible that it is seductive, it's sexy, it's scathing, it's scandalous, it's truth, it's prescriptive, it's all kinds of stuff. And it's absolutely fabulous. We're going to have a great time going through this, looking at the goals that God has set out for you and me, for our relationships, specifically our romantic relationships, to be the very best, to burn the very hottest, the very longest that they possibly can. So this book, Song of Solomon, also known as the Song of Songs, this was one little Jewish boys. They wouldn't even let them read this book growing up. So this was the book. This was the first one that little boys would try to grab a copy of so they could stick it between They could stick it between the mattress and the box springs. This was the first one of its kind. Everybody with me? When they would get a copy of it, they would read it and all kinds of stuff. Man, this is, yeah, it's going to be one of those series. It's one of those, man. It's going to be fabulous. We're going to have a great time. But it really is. This is a book that is a collection of love poems that are likely were set to music at some time. You can see it, candlelight, moonlight, guitar. You know, these songs that were this back and forth between this man and this woman, celebrating the sexual relationship that God intended for marriage. So this book is also an instruction manual for us. It's a great instruction manual that establishes the relationship goals that start at courtship or dating, and they go all the way through till death do us part. And this book maps it out for us. And it helps us to see God's design, His plan for us, and the goals that He has for you and me. So, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're in between, whether you're again, or whether you're whatever, it's gonna impact every single one of us. My guess is that everybody across this room can all agree that romantic relationships, they're a bit challenging, right? They're a bit challenging. They're the most amazing thing on this planet, as well as the most complicated. I mean, you guys, you got your ladies figured out, right? Exactly. I mean, you absolutely just are mind blown in love, but you can't figure her out to save your life. So it's this most amazing, phenomenal thing, but it's also the most complicated. These relationships, they're riddled with excitement. Excitement of the unknown, excitement of kind of how somebody's feeling, how somebody may not be feeling, all of that. But they're also challenged by temptation all along the way, aren't they? All along the way, challenged by temptation. Many succeed, and many fail. What we get to talk about over these next 6 weeks is God's design for our marriage, for our relationships to burn hotter, longer. That's what we're looking for. God's design is for our marriage relationships to burn hotter, longer. We're going to talk about the whole process of that. And so let's start off in the Song of Solomon. I got to give a little bit of background a bit, because what we're going to find is through this book, there are 3 words for this word that we use called love. There are 3 words that are used, and so I want to make sure that we're all squared away on this. So first one is the love that's called friendship love. It's our friendship. The next one after, so this friendship, this is the dating, okay? This is the spending time. This is the, I would rather be with you right here, right now than anywhere else in the world. This is the one where you're driving home at night slower, you know, so that you can spend as much time as possible before you drop her off. Friendship. This is the one that you continue dating into marriage. You keep pursuing your number 2, right? God first, spouse 2, kids 3. This is that friendship love. The second one after that, we have commitment. love. My mom's going to be really proud of my handwriting today. That's awesome. So we have commitment love. Squirrel, right? We have commitment love. And so this is the one, obviously, that is the till death do us part. This is the one, man, we're sticking this thing out through thick and thin, for better, for worse, for rich and for poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do us part, right? Commitment love. And then after that, you've got the romantic. The romantic love. And so you'll notice that when we go through this book, there's going to be interchangeably, like even in one sentence, you'll see two of these different words for love described in one phrase. It's really amazing. And so here's the thing. The culture that we live in right now, oftentimes will try to grab one of these. They'll try to grab one of these words that is for love and have it be the complete picture of all three of these. So I want you to imagine for just a second, each of these are a flame. Each of these loves are a flame. What happens is, on a one-night stand, a couple will be together romantically, they'll be together sexually, and they'll try to get all of the fire from this one flame. They'll try to get all of the fire from this one flame that is designed to be gained from all three flames together as one. And the reason that a person on the other side of that finds themselves empty, finds themselves longing, finds themselves wanting, is because there may be a romantic love, but there's no commitment. There's no friendship. There's no, I just want to be with you. We're going to hang out. It's no wonder the one-night stand leaves somebody empty and wanting. Well, it's just the same also that we have somebody that might have a commitment love. This would be the old couple or the older couple that has kids in the home that are about to graduate high school, and this is that couple that says, man, we're in this thing for the kids. We're going to stay together. We're going to stay together because that's what's best for the kids. And so they have commitment-ish, right? But there's no friendship. They're not dating each other. They're not hanging out. They're not enjoying time after the kids go to bed to talk and to get to know each other even better. They're not going on any dates. And they're not having any sex. They're not together romantically. And so what ends up happening is, it's no wonder we're trying to gain this love through this one flame that is designed, the heat that God longs for in a marriage relationship is the three combined into one. You can't get the same heat from one flame that you can from these three. And so it's no wonder whenever the kids graduate from high school, these people look at each other and they go, who the heck are you? I don't even know you anymore. And so therefore, that commitment begins to flicker and begins to fade, and eventually it goes out. And so you've got these three flames that are all essential in order for the marriage relationship to burn as hot, as long as it possibly can. And so this is the fun we're going to get to have over these next 6 weeks. And you're going to see today, just right out of the gates, you're going to see each of these used through this love poem and these love poems that are written one man to a woman. And so the goal that we have here is to study God's plan, to study God's goals for our relationships so that they can burn hotter longer. So here's today's key truth. We start off with this one. Start off with the key truth. We're going to start in on the front end of this thing, right? Starting on the front end of this thing. Healthy relationships fan the flame of faithful attraction. We're going to key in on that word faithful. It's important in this because, it's one thing to just be attracted physically to one another. It's another thing to have what God's plan for attraction is between two people. At Baylor, whenever I was doing my undergrad, man, it was a great time to be a Baylor Bear. Unlike today. Anybody see the game yesterday? Oh my gosh, we're awful. Sorry. Anyway, us and UT. We're all awful. It's okay. We're rebuilding. We're rebuilding. It's going to be fine. So when I was in Baylor, though, we were not real great at football then either. But what we were really good at was having pretty girls on campus. We were really good at that. In fact, we were so good at that, the ratio guys to girls was one guy for every 7 girls. baby, it was good to be a Baylor Bear. My brother's friends would come. My brother's from West Point. My brother's friends would come with him, and they would come to the Baylor campus. And one of his friends, we get back to my parents' house, and he's talking. He goes, "Man, my neck's so sore from my head being on a swivel, looking at all these pretty women." Oh, Daddy, he's right. It was a good time to be a Baylor Bear. That's where it begins, isn't it? When you see that gal walk through the door, you see that guy walk into the room, and it's like a tractor beam. And there's that attraction. And there's that, wow, or it's that you've seen him 1,000 times, and then all of a sudden one day, it changes. And you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. It begins with attraction. You find yourself attracted, and you find yourself in the position where the young lady in the first book, or the first chapter of the book of the Song of Solomon, says these words: "Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. For your love," which is the romantic love, "for your love is more delightful than wine." So we enter into the courtship phase. We enter into the dating phase, beginning with attraction. And we have to ask the question. We're going to move kind of quick through these, so y'all hang with me. It's important because we got to get where we need to go today. But we have to ask the question, what is she drawn to? We have to ask ourselves, what are we drawn to? There's no doubt that it has to start with some physical attraction of some sort, otherwise you would never give the time of day. But what really is being drawn to? And we were talking about faithful attraction, the attraction that God the Father longs for you and me within our sexuality. And so we ask the question, what is she drawn to? In verse 3, she says these words: "Pleasing is the fragrance of your perfumes. Your name is like perfume poured out. No wonder all the ladies love you." Now, it's not because his name is some really cool name. What she's saying here is your reputation. You are known for. The ladies in this area know that you're a good catch. They know that you're the real deal. They know, and no wonder they're all drawn unto you. She's saying, pleasing is the fragrance of your perfumes. Your name is like perfume poured out. And so what she's telling him is, you have godly character. So in this moment, she's fanning this flame, recognizing godly character. It's this romantic flame. And she's saying, you have a character that's set apart. You have a character that's different than I've seen before. No wonder people love you. I find myself drawn to you. And there's this dating going back and forth that's happening. She fans the flame by recognizing godly character. So let me write this. And so this is the first. Fan the flame by recognizing godly character. Because here's the truth, is it not? If you want your relationships to be great, don't you have to set the bar high? I mean, if you want them to be great, you got to set the bar high. And so consequently, we have to ask ourselves this question: am I living with the godly character that I hope for in a wife? Am I living with the godly character that I hope for in a husband? Students, singles. You're married. Am I living with the godly character that I hope for in my wife? Am I living with the godly character that I hope for in my husband? Am I living according to that standard? Am I trustworthy? Am I a man of integrity? Am I a woman of integrity? Is what comes out of my mouth always truth? Is what comes out of my mouth that is the overflow of my heart? Does it tell the story of what's really going on inside of me or not? So, am I living with the godly character that I hope for in a wife? This is a big one. And you students and singles in the room, you got to set the bar high, and please don't ever compromise. The bad boy may look good, but I promise you, heartache is what is ahead. It's coming. And if you want to tether yourself to have to live that the remainder of your life, and there are many adults across this room that can testify to this, if you want to have to undo all of that and to try to figure out how to trust again, then go for the bad boy. Go for the bad girl. But I promise you, you want life to be the way that God's goal is when He imagined you into being? Godly character is the first standard you're looking for. Proverbs 12:4, a wife of noble character is her husband's crown, but a disgraceful wife is like decay in his bones. It's killing him. You can substitute a husband of noble character is his wife's crown. A disgraceful husband like this decay in her bones. It's the truth. It's exactly how it is. You want to kill your relationship? Don't worry about character. It's the way it works. And so our students, our singles specifically right now, fan this flame of attraction, faithful attraction, by choosing to date somebody with godly character. This is God's goal. This is the way that we attain relationships burning hotter, longer. Fanning the flame, first of all, by recognizing godly character. We move on. Verse 5. It's so amazing to me how quickly we go from this euphoric, amazing, wow, I love my relationship, to all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I wonder if he's going to figure out that I'm maybe not as pretty as he first thought I was. Or maybe she's going to figure something out about me that she doesn't like, and she's going to be out. And so we have this phrase. We see this woman that's saying these words, dark am I, and she's trying to come over it, yet lovely. We're daughters of Jerusalem. She's talking to the ladies, right? She's dark like the tents of Kedar, like the tent curtains of Solomon. Do not stare at me because I'm dark, because I'm darkened by the sun. My mother's sons were angry with me and made me take care of the vineyards, and therefore my own vineyard I have neglected. What she's saying is, I'm not real crazy about the way that I look, and I hope that He can overcome my insecurities. But you have to remember, she knows this man's a man of godly character. And so what we find here is, in these moments of insecurity, she's recognizing she can trust her greatest insecurities with this person. Because there's integrity, there's care, there's goodness, and she can trust. And so as a result of that, what happens is they fan the flame by building godly trust. And so that's what we have our next one. So you have character, and then we have trust. Godly character, godly trust. We move on. Verse 7. Tell me, you whom I love, where you graze your flock and where you rest your sheep at midday. Why should I be like a veiled woman beside the flocks of your friends? Now this is kind of an important phrase here, because you may not quite understand the head coverings and all that kind of stuff. Well, at the time, she's saying, I don't want to have this head covering, because it was very well known that the temple prostitutes were the ones that were wearing those outside in the fields whenever the guys would get off work after payday in hopes that they could make money. And what she's saying is, I'm not like them. And what gives us that indication is that little word, love. Tell me, you whom I love. You know what that word is? It's the commitment love. And so what she's saying is, I don't want to cover my face. I want to be fully who I am with you. I want to know where you are because I want to be near you. But not because I want anything sexually from you right now, right? I want to be near you. I want to be close to you because I'm not like those other girls. I'm committed unto you. And that's what she's saying. She's saying, I don't want to be like this veiled woman beside the flocks of your friends who are just wanting a payday or just wanting some male attention because they needed their daddy to hug them more. I don't want to be like that. And so what we find here is these two are now fanning the flame by practicing godly values, by having these values. And she's saying, dude, I'm not looking to play house. I'm not looking to act like we're married before we're married. I'm not looking to do those things. What I'm looking to do is I want you to understand that I'm going to be a woman, just like you're a man of godly character, I'm going to be a woman of godly character. Just like I know I can trust you with my insecurities, I want you to know that you can trust me because I'm committed to this thing. And I'm all in. And so the things that God values, the things that God sees in you, I'm seeing those things in you. And this is what she's validating in him. And so therefore they're upholding God's standards. And they're making sure that they're honoring him with their lives. And then the guy responds. And the guy responds to this. He says, I liken you, my darling, to a mare harnessed to one of the chariots of Pharaoh. Now, guys, this is not the 21st century. Please don't recognize your sweet, lovely, amazing gal by calling her a mare. Okay, you don't want to do that. But in this time, this would be huge. Because he's sitting there saying, oh, no. Do you know how elegant? Do you know how elegant the horses are that are trusted to be the ones to carry the chariots of Pharaoh? Their hair is flowing, they're strong, they're beautiful, they're elegant, they're lovely, they're amazing. And so this is what he's saying. He's speaking sweet nothings into her ear. She wants to be a mare. She responds to him. She says, while the king was at his table, my perfume spread its fragrance. My lover, and hey, guess what kind of love this one is? My lover is to me a sachet of myrrh resting between my breasts. Now let me tell you a little bit about this. The way we know this is romantic is obviously the word defines it that way. But then from there, this idea of a sachet of myrrh, what would happen is they would use this resin. And then they would get the spices of myrrh, and the resin, as the day went along, it would begin to kind of melt away. And as that resin melted away, then it would offer the fragrance of whatever the spice was that they had inside this sachet or this necklace that they were wearing. And so what she's saying is, she's saying, you are like this sachet of myrrh. You are pleasing, you are wonderful, you are amazing. And I love the idea of you just being near me, being all around me. And every time I think of you, it's like a sweet aroma. And so she's wooing him as he is wooing her, and it's back and forth. They got character, trust, values happening. And do you see what's happening here? Whenever you've got character, trust, values, guess what happens out of that? It comes very naturally. It comes very naturally. You ready for it? Can't see it. They're encouraging one another. They're fanning this flame, this idea of burning hotter, longer in their relationship through godly encouragement. And what it does is when these words come out of their mouth one to another, it grows them closer together. Not only does it grow them closer to their Heavenly Father because they're learning these things from Him and then they're giving them to one another, and it's growing them closer together with this godly encouragement. It's a beautiful thing. And so there you have it. You want your relationship to burn hotter, longer? Here it is. Character, trust, values, encouragement. There it is. And so now let's find out what happens as a result of that. God's goals for your relationship. Because remember, there's a bigger picture here being painted, is there not? Because why did God design man and woman to be together? Think about it. Why did He design? Think of the New Testament in Ephesians whenever He talks about the husband-wife relationship. The whole purpose of this is to describe His love for His bride, the church. That's you and me. And so whenever we're thinking about this relationship between this man and this woman, we have to understand the love that God the Father has for you and me, the way He sees you and me, and the fact is, the way we can respond to God's character. The way we can respond to God's values, the way we can respond to God's encouragement to you and me. It's this relationship. As His bride, we long for Him to be a pleasing aroma that is always surrounding us. It's always near. We want to be where He is. We want Him to know how much we love Him. You see, that's the reason for this male-female. That's the reason for marriage, because it paints the picture of God's love for His church. And so no pressure, married folks, but you're painting a picture. And if you call on Jesus as your Savior, you're painting a picture for God's love for His church and for your love for your God. We're painting a picture here. It's important for us to wrap our minds around this. And so here's the result. Are you ready? God's plan for dating. We're setting the stage for marriage. And And all of a sudden, when you've got these aspects of marriage that are helping it burn hotter longer, here's the results. Psalms 2:1. I am a rose of Sharon, a lily of the valleys. Like a lily among thorns is my darling among the maidens. She responds, he's taken me to the banquet hall, and his banner over me is love. Now, it may take a little bit of reading between and trying to figure this out, but do you know what's happening here? There's a feeling that's beginning to bubble up. There's a feeling that's showing up. And that feeling is she feels special. You see what happens whenever we uphold God's plan and we pursue God's goal for our relationships? Not only do you feel special, but your spouse feels special, or the person that you're pursuing feels special. You feel special as well. She finds herself in this courtship, dating time, feeling special. And it continues on in verse 3. Like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my lover among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade. His fruit is sweet to my taste. And I tell you what, I delight to sit in his shade. It's the idea here that he's nearby and he's covering her. He's helping her know there's nothing you'll ever do that's going to make me love you any less. Sound familiar? See, what God longs for yours and my relationship is that you can look at one another and you know with great security there's nothing you're going to do that's going to make them love you any less. There's nothing you're going to do that's going to make them quit on you. This is God's desire for you and me. And it's important that we understand. When we set up relationships to follow the plan of our Heavenly Father, the way that He has designed for us to live, don't you want to feel special and secure? Don't you want to be encouraged? Don't you want to know these things? And the beauty of all of this is when you do, and when you're in this relationship, it only helps you see the love of God the Father for you even clearer. And therefore, it only fans the flame for you to feel special, for you to know that you are secure. And so here it is. When we commit to living God's design, our romantic relationships will be as healthy and strong as they've ever been. And there it is. If we have eyes only for our bride, we have eyes only for our husband, if we're committed, if we're fanning that flame and we're friends and we're dating and we're enjoying that time together, if we're making sure that we are intimate together often, and as those flames are burning, then all of a sudden it begins to take more and more heat on, and it becomes more and more special, it becomes more and more secure, and it becomes something we only dreamed it could be. And this is God's plan for you and me. God's plan. But it starts at courtship. And I know some of you are sitting there going, well, crap, Danny, I'm past that. No time like the present. No time like the present to re-up on who you are as a man, who you are as a woman. To live a life according to God's design, God's standards for you. And out of that, help one another feel special and secure because of the way you're living. And so here's our challenge. Here's how we accomplish this. This 6 weeks, beginning right now, okay? Beginning right now. All singles, stop having sex over the next 6 weeks. All right? Stop having sex over the next 6 weeks. In order to reorient, in order to receive forgiveness, in order to do what you need to do so that life is set up to live according to the plan that God has for you. And so your goal is purity across the board, visually, emotionally, physically, all across the board. All singles, stop having sex over the next 6 weeks. And all marrieds, get it. You're welcome, gentlemen. Okay? All marrieds have as much sex as you can over the next 6 weeks. Why? Because we got a flame to fan. But you know what that requires? Friendship. Woo them. Care for them. Pursue them. Friendship. You know what else it requires? Commitment. Don't just try to do this. It takes all of this. You've been doing that for too long, gentlemen. That's been happening for too long. Get the whole thing going. And we're going to see a complete, beautiful picture that gets formed as our relationships take the shape of God the Father's plan. Friendship, commitments. So here's the thing. On a day like today, we enjoy our time, we laugh, we've had a good time talking about God's design and the way that God longs for. The problem is that we know that we've hijacked that system, haven't we? There's many people across this room that have hijacked the plan. And as we think about that, we kind of got to deal with that, don't we? We've got to deal with it. We've got to look at it. We've got to go, what do we do now? Brennan Manning has a phrase, and I want to read this to you, and when I finish, we're going to be done. But he has this phrase that's important for everybody in this room to understand. As we tether ourselves to this truth, he says, please let me remind you, God loves you as you are, not as you should be. God loves you as you are, not as you should be. He loves you beyond worthiness and unworthiness. He loves you beyond fidelity and infidelity. He loves you without caution, regret, boundary, limit, or breaking point. And it's out of this love that we find forgiveness, we find hope. Now everybody receive that. And then as you receive that love that you've gotten from God the Father, allow that to flow in you and through you to the one that you've tethered yourself to. In just a moment, Pastor Clint's going to be up here and he's going to give some more details as to how we want to work through this response time. Some challenges for our singles and some challenges for our marrieds to work through this week, beginning in just a moment. The band's going to play in just a little bit. They're going to kind of lay the foundation for us because they're going to be talking about the solid rock. And what we want to do is we want to know that our hope in relationships isn't built anywhere other than on this solid rock. And then Clint's going to give some instructions as to how we work through that. So let the band play and you do some business while the band's playing. Their background music. You be front and center with God the Father. We're going to do some business with the Lord for just a few minutes. And then you'll be sent out with your marching orders for this week. But singles, no sex. Marrieds, get it. Father, we love you. We thank you. We are so grateful for the fact that you have a design in mind. You have a plan in mind for how you long for things to work on this earth. And Lord, when you imagined us into being, you put us together the way that you did with great purpose and great intentionality. And it's the whole point was for us to fall in love with you more and more and more. And to be able to receive your love not only in a spiritual sense, but also in this physical flesh and blood sense as well, to where our finite minds can begin to grasp the infinite. And so, Father, will you help us? Will you help us to see that your will, your way, the way that you planned it, it works. And it's good. And Father, will you help our relationships genuinely to burn like a bonfire? As we understand all of this that's called love, it takes 3 complete different words to describe and to really make that a reality. So Father, help us to understand. Help us to see your plan. And Lord, help us as we pursue the goal of faithful attraction. Father, I pray for our singles. I pray for our students. And may they set the bar high and not compromise. And I pray for our marrieds. That Father, you'll rework the marriage relationship to be far greater than they could ask or imagine. We love you. We thank you. We pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.